Honestly, I think we're so lucky to have an awesome staff that Suffolk provides us with.
I could not agree more. These professors are extraordinary and always put 110% into their jobs.
Definitely.
But speaking of professors, we have had a professor here that's been with the university for over 40 years. The Vart Dixit took the time to talk to government professor Agnes Bain, who is retiring from Suffolk at the end of the school year.
Thank you, guys. Today I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Agnes Bain. Dr. Bain has been teaching at Suffolk University for the past 40 years. Dr. Bain, I would like to thank you for making the time today to do this interview with us.
Thank you.
Yep. So 40 years of teaching government at Suffolk University, and it seems like you're leaving right when the political system is in turmoil. How do you feel about that?
Well, in some days I feel grateful, but I would say that what I've always thought about teaching American government is that the structures of American government really don't change very much. But when you go to explain how the government works, the examples are always changing because the politics is always in flux. So there's always turmoil. This just happens to be the latest turmoil.
The elections raised a lot of questions about our government, and the Economic Intelligence Unit just listed the United States as a democracy in distress. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think as countries go, the United States is not quite a democracy in distress. I think we still have a lot of solid institutions. I think we have a very good judiciary. I think we have checks and balances. The powers of any president are always limited by both the legislative branch and the executive branch. The judicial branch. And so I think I would not call it a democracy in distress.
No president has ever received such resistance from the people, you know, and what impact does protesting after an election actually have? Is it helpful at all?
I think that it would be a mistake to say that protests after the fact don't have any bearing, because I think from protests can grow a movement, from a movement can grow political change.
The political conscience of the youth seems to have been, reinvigorated after the recent chain of events that have taken place after this election. And in the next elections, the youth will have a huge part to play, no doubt. How do you think this would affect democracy?
Well, I hope that you're right. I hope that this election convince people that of two things. One, that elections have consequences, as Barack Obama said, and two, that every vote counts, and that the demographics are that the country is becoming more female, browner, and younger. Those are the demographic shifts going on in the country. But the youth have to take their place in that political process, and not just leave it to a bunch of middle-aged white folks to determine the outcome of elections. And in order to do that, they need to mobilize, they need to participate. Democracy assumes an informed and engaged electorate. So people of all ages need to be both informed and engaged for a democracy to work.
So, like you said, like the voters are going to be younger, and like you said, they're going to be browner, and they're going to be more women than men who are going to be voting. If you could kind of like see that reflected in this election itself, and yet the Republican Party came on top, I wouldn't really I wouldn't really label their voters as like middle-aged white men. But why do you think that the Republican Party came on top over the Democratic Party?
Well, a lot of people talk about the middle-aged, non-college educated white Trump voter. But let's not forget that a majority of white women also voted for Trump. And as to why that happened, people are still trying to analyze this, and people might say, okay, candidates matter, and perhaps Hillary Clinton was the wrong candidate at the wrong time, and didn't play the game as well as the opposition did, and that may be true. However, the more we learn about you know, it took the combined forces of the right-wing media, the FBI, and maybe the Russian intelligence services to defeat her. Maybe that analysis goes out the window. We don't know yet. It's too soon to tell. But if some of those things prove to be true, then I think we got a real problem on our hands that we need to address.
Yep. Wonderful. So on a lighter note, who has been your favorite American president and why?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I guess as I look back, although I have quite a bit of respect for Barack Obama, but I think right now I would say if I had to look back, and just to be provocative, I would say my favorite president was Jimmy Carter.
So like you mentioned, you've been here since 1978, and it's 2017 now, and you're going to be leaving us at the end of this semester. What has been your fondest memory as a professor here at Suffolk University?
I've done a lot of things at Suffolk. As a faculty member, I've served on all kinds of committees. I was department chair for a long time. I was the director of the College of Arts and Sciences honors program for a long time. So I've done a lot of different things. I guess one of the things I will carry away from me from my time at Suffolk that I've always loved about Suffolk is that dedication to teaching. I've been at schools where, you know, you might see the professor in a big lecture hall, but then you deal with graduate students and you never really get to know that professor. And here the focus was always on teaching. We teach our own courses, we grade our own exams, we are hands-on on the teaching aspect of what this academic experience is all about. And that's my favorite part, and that's my fondest memory.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you here today, Dr. Bain.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time to come join us for an interview.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have for you folks. Back to you guys at the studio.
Kudos to Professor Bain. I hope she enjoys a happy and long retirement lying on a beach somewhere.